Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie and I'm currently an LMHC intern pursuing my master's degree in counseling psychology, and I'm graduating in May and plan to get a job as a therapist shortly after. Alright, so that is just a tidbit about my background, how I introduce most of my videos. I'm getting a little personal today and digging a little deep. I'm staying somewhat vague. Obviously, as a counselor, I'm not going to sit down and tell people my story, but I feel like to spread awareness and destigmatize certain things, it's important to do that, especially to be like, hey, I'm a mental health professional and I struggle with my mental health, because there's a huge misperception that you have to be perfectly well off, which none of us are, and completely stable to be a clinician. I do recommend, making sure that you have good coping skills in place and self-care, but you absolutely can be in this field even if you have struggles. You just have to take care of yourself. This video is going to specifically focus on social anxiety. I would love to make a more clinical video going into, diagnoses, requirements, and what those can look like in certain things. This video is just personal. So we are stripping away diagnoses. I'm not using the term social phobia here. I'm not talking diagnoses because I ethically cannot. I'm just focusing on the concept of social anxiety and how it affects me. So it's interesting, I was inspired to sit down and make this because I just filmed another video and was watching it back. And I swear I had social anxiety just talking to the camera, which is so weird. I think that probably happens to a lot of people filming in the beginning. Another thing people have pointed out recently that I have not noticed is that I tend to mumble certain things and people are like, wait, what? And I have evidence of this because I watch my video back and I do that, and I actually do post it. I try to be real. So if you do notice that, that is unintentional and is just me being nervous and just kind of mumbling. So my prognosis of where this comes from, I think, is that I have this persistent fear that people do not care about what I have to say, or that I'm talking too much, or that I don't make sense, or I sound annoying. So basically I'm overthinking and having a bunch of unhelpful thoughts and anxiety that I don't need in these situations. So I think that's why the mumbling kind of comes out instead of a proud, confident voice. I feel like I'm more confident when I'm talking about topics I'm familiar with, but when I'm talking about something personal, that can be difficult as well. So I am just kind of doing this off the cuff. I wanted it to be really raw and personal. For me, social anxiety makes things hard, specifically with people my age. I do feel a little nervous talking to almost anyone, but especially people my age. I'm gonna keep quiet where that comes from because, again, I don't want to disclose too much, but it's hard. It's hard. We care. Some of us care what other people think. We want people to like us. And even though logically I say to myself all the time, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, not everyone's going to like me, it does hurt when people don't like you, because you sit there, or for me, I sit there and say, what's wrong with me? Like, why does this person not like me? Am I not a good person? Am I mean? Am I annoying? Am I this? Am I that? And I don't need to do that. I need to feel good about myself for me and accept that other people might not like me or find me annoying, and that's okay, because I am who I am, and I need to own that, and I need to dig deep and process my identity and have a stronger identity, and I think that that will help this over time. My social anxiety is somewhat better when I'm talking to people one-on-one or in a very small group. If it's a large group, a party, forget about it. Forget about it. It's really hard. If people are sitting around talking about water parks and makeup and mental health and topics that I connect to and know a lot about and feel confident talking about, that makes things a lot easier. But obviously, the world doesn't revolve around me. I should learn about other topics from people, and I shouldn't be allowed to pick every conversation topic. People I meet are not always interested in the same things, and that's okay. We need unique people and individuality in this world. But at the same time, if people are talking about sports, I don't like sports. What am I supposed to say? I don't really know. I don't have an answer to this, and I will kind of just sit there feeling a little uncomfortable. It's hard. It's hard for me personally to initiate conversation because sometimes I feel like, what if this person doesn't like small talk? What if this person is triggered by a question I ask? And I don't always know those things ahead of time because not everyone is open about what they like and don't like and what their triggers are, of course. It's really hard to hold all that in. And then even worse for those of us with social anxiety, when we do say something and we're not met with the reaction we expect, we feel really bad and regret it. And that definitely happens to me, and I have to just kind of give myself a pep talk and say, like, it's okay, at least you put yourself out there. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to say, but you learned your lesson and you won't say something like that again. I think it's also interesting, when I was younger, my social anxiety was less of that I was a quiet person and more of that I was super hyper and talkative and loud. And it was because I was so nervous. I had so many thoughts going through my head at once, and I was so afraid of an awkward silence or pause or someone thinking I was boring or not interesting. And so I was just trying to put so much effort into every social interaction and conversation I had, and I came off like an extrovert. But it was all fake. I am not an extrovert. I am an introvert, and I would argue that for many introverts, social anxiety can be a real thing. Obviously, introversion is a personality trait, and social anxiety is more of like a mental health concern, but it's a very common thing people go through. And people go through it to different severities. It's not always on a clinical scale. I was talking to my supervisor one time about how when I have to wait for the bathroom, sometimes I do, but I will sit there and be like, what is this person gonna say? What is this interaction gonna be like? And it's a 2-second interaction. Or this one, I wonder if any of you can relate to. You're walking down the hall at work and you're like, when should I say hi to this person, and how close to them should I be, like walking in the hall? And it's so funny because sometimes you say good morning and someone says how are you, and they're walking away and you just are like, good, you, and you keep walking. And I don't know, I just find those kind of interactions to be really uncomfortable sometimes. One thing I'm not so bad with is like going out to eat and ordering food. I know that can be really hard for people. I'm pretty good with ordering food. Nowadays, I'm pretty good with phone anxiety, although it had been worse. I do sometimes still have to rehearse out what I'm going to say or have someone sit with me, but I do try to push myself to be more independent because I know that that's a lifelong skill that I need to be able to talk to people on the phone and advocate for myself. Socially, I don't really talk to my friends on the phone. I don't even talk to my boyfriend on the phone, and he doesn't love the phone either, so that's okay. I think social anxiety is just hard when you feel like you're so different and you felt disconnected for so long and you sort of feel isolated and out of place. And the loneliest some of us can feel is when we're in a social situation and we still feel alone. That's really hard to accept and hold on to. But I think it's about finding the right people and figuring out who you are and what you want. Maybe you only want a small group of friends. Maybe you're into quality over quantity, and that's okay. Or maybe you like having a lot of friends. Maybe you're extroverted. And I'm not saying introverts are the only people with social anxiety. Obviously, you can be more on the extroverted side and still struggle with those things. A lot of us, I feel, are faking it till we make it. But it can be tough. It definitely can be tough, and it's something that I work on. The best thing for social anxiety really is exposure, as awful as it sounds. That doesn't mean to throw yourself into a situation. What I've been doing lately is, if I'm in public and I see a stranger, like customer service, not a random person, I will say, hey, and give a compliment. That's kind of how I always start conversations, is I just compliment people. I don't know if that's always the best thing, but it's just, I like to like put out good energy into the world in hopes of getting it back. But I'll try to have like a brief small talky type conversation with a customer service person that seems up for it. Like if they're in a bad mood or it appears that way, I'm not going to bother them. But some of them do enjoy talking to you for a couple of minutes, and I try to take advantage of that to practice my social skills and asking questions and different things. It's also funny being in this field and having social anxiety, especially in a school setting, because I have to talk to so many people every single day. I love working with teens, just like I loved working with little ones in elementary school, because I don't have as much social anxiety around them. Again, I'm not going to delve into exactly why and what I think that's about. I'm just grateful that I'm able to talk to that population. I feel like I'm also able to talk to older adults a little better and the elderly and things like that. I guess I just find these populations less judgmental, but it's not always accurate with evidence and logic. It's more of me feeling that way emotionally, which is not always bound in logic and reality. I still feel a little uncomfortable around most people, especially adults of all ages, but like I said, specifically people in their 20s, and that can be hard. But that's another thing I've been working on. I do see a few people around that age range socially, my boyfriend's friends, and I'm working toward making new friends and that sort of thing. And although that can be hard, all the exposure of putting myself out there is really helpful. And I do a lot better talking to people online. I'm sure many of us do. And so if you have online friends and you have social anxiety, that counts to me. Like, it's the older generations are like, go out and meet people. Yeah, easier said than done. And if you can do that, wonderful. But not all of us are there yet. And that's why there are apps and social media. I mean, especially if you're a teen, just be careful. Don't let adults follow you. It's okay to befriend other teens that way as long as you meet in a public place and you're safe. I think that making friends and just getting out there and socializing with people can be really helpful. I know for me, having social media again has made a huge difference, as well as making this channel and putting myself out there, even though it's hard. I'm just working toward being a more confident person and worrying less what people are going to say in response to me or what they think or what they feel toward me, and know that the right people will be in my life, will love me and appreciate me and respect me, and I need to love and respect myself as well. I guess I just want to keep it short. I just kind of put this out there, spread awareness that this is something I deal with. It's a little tidbit. I consider myself to be kind of awkward. I want to work on the whole mumbling thing. That's not great because people have no idea what I'm saying or doing. And go from there. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. I'd love to have you. And please leave a comment as long as it comes from a kind place. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye!